Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica here with
Kayvon, founder and CEO of Bells of Steel.
And today we're going to talk about product development. I love your company, Bells of Steel, because you guys innovate product in a very interesting way. You do what I consider to be the height of civilization, the height of ideas, where you take products that have existed for thousands of years and you figure out how to make them better. Can you tell me about some of the things that you are working on right now, or ideas of how you innovate?
So the past few years, kind of trying to economize and make a lot of products more accessible to people. So I think I'll take my belt squat machine as an example. So there were some belt squat machines on the market, but they were all like gigantic and $4,000. And actually I didn't love like the function on them. So I try and make like a functionally similar or superior product, but then dial back all the flash.
All the stuff that doesn't need to be there.
All the stuff that doesn't need to be there. Even in a commercial setting, you know, people, manufacturers will overbuild for a gym because they're like, oh, there's lots of wear and tear. And it's like, well, it's steel. It's not going to change too much. So that's where a lot of our success has come in the last few years. Economy versions, and then just being like clever with, you know, taking products that have already existed and be like, how to make this 20% better than everybody else. And a lot of that tinkering, I pool my whole team now to get ideas and feedback and whatever. But yeah, a lot of the success kind of comes from me and my background as somebody who's been training for 25 years, and I think about product that way, whereas often a lot of people who own or run these companies came from more of a corporate background. You know, they got into the business because the business was hot or whatever. They don't have the kind of same passion or experiences I do, and I think that shines in the products.
One of the products that I love is a product we just made. It's a competition adjustable kettlebell, but instead of having 19 weight variations, it has 41. The product looks the same, but it is higher quality on the cast, on the pattern, and just a couple of small tweaks take an already existing very good product and make it the best thing that's ever been made, as far as we know. If you go from having a kettlebell that works as one weight, a 16K, and then you get competition bells, which make the geometry the same so that when you use it, everybody catches the same way regardless of weight, so the technique stays the same, so that people can get better faster. And then we get an adjustable kettlebell where instead of 19 of these, we can get it all in one spot. And now we've taken it a step further, and now we've replaced 41 items this size, 41, which would fill up this entire room with one product. That's innovation in the right direction. To me, that's like the hallmark of civilization. Things get a little bit better every year, and over the course of 10 years, things massively expand. For me, kettlebells, when I started, you only had solid hard style bells, and they were all different sizes, and the handles was always a toss-up. They might suck, they might be good. When you ordered a bell, they were so expensive to ship that when you got it, you couldn't afford to ship it back. So either you got a good kettlebell that you might be able to use, or you got a doorstop. And you didn't really know.
It's so funny with these adjustable ones, because of the popularity from you, it started to become more and more of a bestseller.
Well, people I think didn't think that it was necessary, because things in the weightlifting world are so macho for the most part. People aren't thinking about people starting out or the small jump that's necessary for people who have been hurt. But let's be honest, 60% of the population who wants to train has been injured in some way. So changing from just like a hardcore idea, because originally kettlebells were 16s, 24s, and 32s, and you just made the 17.6 pound jump between weights, and you just tried to do better, but it wasn't successful for a large number of people because the weights didn't exist. So then instead of 8K jumps, we got 4K jumps. We got the 16, the 20, the 24, the 28, the 32. Then we got 2K jumps. So we had the 16, the 18, the 20, the 22, the 24, the 26, up to the 32. And so every time we get more innovation, the training becomes more accessible to more people succeed, more people get what they want. Then we get the adjustable bell, which I didn't find out about till 2020, because nobody talked about it or why it was important. And now we have this, replacing 41 weights. I used to write my programs around the inadequacies of equipment, but now I can write perfect programs that allow everybody to succeed. Something that happens in training that I see is that 90% of people fail and 10% of people succeed, and that's kind of how training has been designed. What I want to do is flip that number and make it so that 90% of people will succeed and only 10% of people might fall out. And the people who fall out, it's simply because they didn't show up for training. It's not because the training wasn't there. With something like this, an innovation like this, training becomes perfect. It becomes impossible to fail if you show up and you put in the time. And that's what I love about training. It gets better every year, and it's still simple. It's still a chunk of iron that you can train with in a field. There's no fancy tech. It doesn't have to Bluetooth to anything. It's still just a chunk of metal. It'll last 1,000 years. People will forget what they are for, and they'll put it in a museum in 1,000 years. But it would still work.
I think that's a great summary, and I think too, even that like those small progressions too, being able to add like a half kilo a week or every 2 weeks or a month, instead of hitting that wall in the in-between and giving up on yourself, I think it's gonna help a lot of people.
It's impossible to fail at a certain point because you have so much micro loading ability. You've taken everything that Olympic lifting can do with micro loading of barbells, and you've introduced it into double kettlebells and added in the natural movement of the shoulder in an infinite amount of movement complexity. 2 of these bells now truly do replace an entire gym of stuff forever. It's infinite now. I can't think of a way that you could functionally run into the edge of training in a lifetime.
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of, kettlebells were one of our bread and butter when we started, and obviously expanded into different stuff. And yeah, this year we got some fun mix of like Hail Marys, you know, stuff that is pretty much created from the ground up. Got some other stuff, like I said, our bread and butter, creating economic versions of like ludicrously overpriced products, and then more the basics, the commodity products, and just helping to level them up, you know, to my standards.
Yeah, something that you would actually want to train with. Every year, training gets better, equipment becomes more available thanks to people like you, and what that allows people to accomplish gets better and better and better every year. I think that we could be hitting the highest point of human training or the human evolution of training since like ancient Greece in the next 10 years.
Some lofty goals there.
Right?
Yeah.